The biggest mistake that most creators make when trying to grow on social media is treating every single post as if it needs to live on its own. This is something that I did when I first started my own social media presence, Brock Wonder, which focused on street photography and travel videography. But this is something I will not be doing as I grow my new branded social media presence, Goldrop, into 2026. And the reason why is that instead of thinking of posts as individual items, I now think of social media content as a series, interconnected pieces of content that tell a consistent story over time. And so in today's episode, I want to talk about why your next 30 social media posts should be considered as 30 episodes of one series and not 30 disconnected ideas. Now, there's a reason why I'm explaining all of this up in the beginning. And the reason why is because when you start a series on social media, it's been tested as being one of the fastest ways to actually see success with how the algorithm works right now and interest-based social platforms. And so that's why I'm going to help you today build your next series. I'll explain to you what they are a little bit more in depth, show you how to make them, and give you the key video structures that you need to integrate into your social media content to make sure you're doing it properly. And before we do any of that, we need to actually explain just a little bit more what a social media series actually is. So at its simplest, a series is recurring content with a repeatable structure. It's content where the audience immediately understands three things. They know what they're going to get, they know how it's going to feel, and they have a sense of what's coming next. And so to highlight this in practice, I want to show you a creator who does this exceptionally well. Her name is Mylene's Mind. Now, she's been known to create different social media series around different topics that are affecting her life personally. Her most recent one is called On the Other Side of Fear. Each episode explores a different learning outcome. So every video delivers something tangible. And in this series, each episode tackled a different angle of fear. Fear of aging, fear of success, fear of relationships, but the whole thing is always grounded in her own experiences. Plus, they offer a takeaway. The key point that I'm trying to share about this is that it has the same theme across all 30 episodes. They are different episodes communicating around the same idea. It's a different topic always being covered, but there is a clear expectation of what the viewer is actually going to get. Because once you see one of these videos, you're then going to know she's going to be building this out. She announces that in the actual video. And then when you do see it show up again, you'll already know if you want to watch or not. And this is how you build engagement and community. At a baseline then, a series just needs a clear main theme, sub-themes that then explore that idea, and a defined cadence or window to run it, like Mylene's Mind's 30 days. That's it. So with that, I want to show you an example of what a series looks like with my own content. Recently with my brand Goldrop, we were at the One of a Kind show here in Toronto, which if you don't know, my brand sells maple syrups, but with an infused flavored twist. We essentially have different flavored maple syrups with no extracts, additives, or added sugars. And the One of a Kind show is the largest Christmas market in Canada. And so we were a vendor there. I was a vendor for 11 days. It was exhausting, but extremely rewarding. And I had the bright idea that for each of the 11 days, I was going to build a reel or post at the very minimum on what happened on each of those days. And so this was essentially my series. 11 days at the One of a Kind show. Now, the idea behind it was after the first day, I would then understand what the structure of my days would look like, and then I could later develop post ideas around it. And that's, again, the value of a series is that once you have a framework, you can then just fill it with random creative ideas that you already have without needing to reinvent the wheel constantly. That structure looked like me explaining what happened, what day it was, what I learned that day or realized, and the end result. But the cool thing is that I still experimented with this. Some days I went out and interviewed other vendors about what they like to put maple syrup on, and still built it into the series as one of the 11 days at the One of a Kind show. Other days I did carousel posts that just recap something that happened, like there was a late night up until 11 o'clock, and I just posted a photo for that to basically explain an update on the brand after that night. But the end result of my series was literally the exact same thing every time, documenting what happened that day and how it went. This is a very simple version of a series. It's more of a journey than it is anything else. You pick a sequential amount of events and then thread a storyline through it. And how crazy you want to get with that storyline and what the value is that you're actually providing to your audience as a result of that story is then up to you. And so a crazier example is another series that I built around my Brock Wonder account, which was a Best of Canada series. And the goal with this series was to basically travel the country, visiting some of the top destinations around Canada, offering my opinion about if it's actually worth visiting or not, and communicating all of the information that somebody would need to know to actually look into if they wanted to do it. The idea though was pretty structured. Different cities, same stories, different activities, and then it's up to you to decide if it's actually worth visiting or not. The point though is that whether you design a simple series or a complicated one, there's a basic formula of a hook for what someone's going to get out of watching, a clear value or reason to continue watching or check it out, and then a CTA for what you want the viewer to do next, i.e. watch your next episode in the series if they're interested. Usually. But we're going to break that down more in a second. Because to be honest, this idea isn't that new. There are series popping up on social media everywhere. The differentiator is that you're not just posting content, you're building a story in real time. And this is what causes people to stay interested in the content you're posting. And that's how you leverage the interest-based algorithms going forward, is that you yourself are creating the interest for the person to watch your content rather than relying them to be interested in topics related to what you're talking about. It's a little bit meta, but that's essentially the idea. In a nutshell, a post is a moment, whereas a series is a habit. And you, as the creator, are responsible for building the habit of your viewer to continue watching your series. Because people don't just watch a series once, they come back to it. And that's the whole point. So what does this mean for how you should approach social media? Should a series be the only thing that you post on your social media profiles? The answer is no, flat out. But the series that you commit to should be the core of what your audience actually expects from you. The easiest way to think about this is to treat your social media profiles like a TV network. And every post that you have on your profile is another episode supporting the TV network that you're actually building. Every post that you put up on your TV network doesn't need to explain everything over again from scratch. Its goal is only to move the narrative forward that you've already established for yourself. So for example, on my Brock Wonder page, I've turned this into a travel creator in Canada page. There's a series about traveling Canada in it, but that doesn't mean I can't just post a photo carousel of a destination I visited a long time ago that I enjoyed taking the photography of and sharing that with the audience. It's still adjacent, it still progresses the story forward, but it's not directly in the living, breathing series that I would be constantly building out. Rather, that's reserved for the Best of Canada series, where we go to different destinations and actually explain why they're worth visiting. Okay, so now that we've cleared up why a series actually works, I want to help you be able to build one. I'm going to walk you through how I actually built my One of a Kind series and turned one day into an episode of a series. And then how that episode actually becomes the foundation for the episodes that then follow and why that becomes the structure of it. So when you first develop your original content piece that will be the format of your series, that is inevitably going to be the thing that takes a lot of work and is up to you. But once you have the format, which for my One of a Kind series was introducing the concept, introducing the series, and then explaining the end outcome, that is the way that the rest of my videos are going to work, and the pacing works as well. So I lock that in place because that's what becomes recognizable the fastest. But every series I run has 7 things that they are defined by. The first is the promise. What's someone going to get out of watching every single episode? Is it education, entertainment, inspiration? Inevitably, it's up to you to set the direction. Second is the format, which is what we've already discussed, and how you want to design your creative to make it recognizable. Third is the set. Where is your series happening? Mine was at the One of a Kind show, but yours might be in a car, could be at a coffee shop, could be in your studio. It's really up to you. Fourth are characters. Do you have people that show up in your videos every single time, or is it just you explaining a concept? Fifth are the creative constraints. Ensure that you're following rules that make the series creatively consistent and easier for you to actually make. 6 is how long is it? This one's up to you, but generally you want them in the form of a short form reel. So I'll leave that up to your creative preference, but you need to ensure you stick to it. And then of course, 7th, art direction. Things like font style, music, all of the fun stuff that is more about creative expression. You need to determine that ahead of time so that you're not like changing fonts throughout the series and changing the way things look, but you're really sticking to one way of doing it so that people know it's uniquely yours. Inevitably, the art direction is what make us creators at the end of the day. It's our own creative tastes. Okay, so we're gonna pop open a file here so you can see the basic structure of the series. Now we're gonna divide this up into the different sections so that you get a clearer idea about what I've done here. And we're gonna take a look at the actual video that I ended up posting to compare what I did. Now, things that you're gonna wanna make sure are the same here is that you're gonna wanna open up the series template so that it already includes things like the intro text animation. The caption styles and fonts should already be predetermined. You need your music, and really that's about it. With the One of a Kind series, my goal is to actually make it a little less polished, but done so in a polished way. And I wanted to make it feel more UGC than it was like shot on a mirrorless camera or high production value. I actually ended up doing all of the text animations and captions in Instagram itself to give it more of that feel. But you can use different tools. You can add title animations in ahead of time and then use that same animation over and over again. You can also add captions with the same font styles, or you can add fun effects like flashes and whip pans to make sure that you're continuing to grab your viewers' attention in these same creative ways. This way, again, it creates consistency with the series that you're building out. But it doesn't have to be complicated, and that's kind of the point. So now you'll notice that there are little gaps here. And the reason why these are here is because this is the structure of my series. First, there's the cold open, which I'm sure we've heard this all before. 0 to 2 seconds is where you're going to introduce your hook. After that, we then provide the context for the series. Welcome to episode 2 of the One of a Kind series, or whatever it might be. And that's where you introduce that this is something recurring that viewers can follow along with. Third then becomes the beats and the pacing. A lot of my content is actually very fast paced, lasting no more than 50 to 30 frames at any given clip. And that's just because of the way I like it. You can make it last longer as long as you're continuing to find ways to engage your audience with longer clips and you're not relying on like retention editing or that kind of thing. I try to stay away from that. I mostly just like how the speed keeps the story moving along, and that's why I edit the way that I do. Then of course you need your micro lesson or your main takeaway added towards, I'm gonna say about the 75% point, about like why was someone watching and what's the end conclusion of the actual video. Finally, you can add a CTA to either follow the series along at the end of each episode or ask them to do something else to support what it was that you were actually communicating about. Inevitably, it's up to you. But in a lot of mine, I would just say, follow along for the next episode or follow along for day 4 or whatever it might be of like the successive days. And then moving in a different direction with my Best of Canada series, I'd always just say catch you in the next one or see you in the next video or at the next destination so that people know I was still traveling and I was still visiting destinations that they might want to check out. The main thing you're going to want to keep consistent when you are editing is that certain things stay the same over certain episodes. So for example, in a lot of my episodes, I'm using the same intro segment, maybe with minor variations to it to keep it a little bit interesting, but that people know that when the intro to the series plays after that 2 to 3 second mark, that's the clip that explains that we're in the living series. And again, that's a branding element. But you can also include different signature shots that remain unchanged, whether it might be a shot of like the overall area that you're shooting in or cool, unique camera angles for how you're capturing a location. Those are really up to you. And again, those are branding choices. You'll also want to make sure you keep the same rhythm and pacing to your edits to make sure it doesn't feel very different than what they've already seen before. I always try to follow a wide, medium, and tight shot story progression, but it's really up to you as long as you follow best practices. And then the beauty of this is that you don't want to close out your series and then wrap up a project. Instead, you just want to make sure that you're taking the same structure like what we have here and applying it up against the next one and the next one to make your editing process easier. And that's really it. That's the basis of a series. That's how I launched my brand account Goldrop. And it's also how I found a lot of success on my Brock Wonder account when I launched my travel series. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. If you have any other questions about social media content tips and tricks, also let me know. And with that, I'll see you all in the next episode. The One of a Kind show was a huge success. I'm very happy with how that went for Goldrop, and I was really happy that I was actually able to document all of that in a series format because now I have something to look back on. So at the very least, try making a series so that you do have a documentation of a sequence of events, because that's really like the end idea of all of this, is to have something to look back on at the end of the day. So with that, thanks for watching, and yeah, we'll see you in the next episode.